We're going to talk about factoring a trinomial when a is bigger than 1. So a trinomial is written as ax squared plus bx plus c. You've learned how to factor a trinomial where we multiply to get the outside, add to get the middle, so it looks something like ax squared plus 3x plus 2, where a, in this case, is equal to 1. What we're going to learn about is what happens when we get a trinomial that looks like this, where a here is equal to 3. So we're wondering what happens when a is not a number that's equal to 1. I'm going to go through a few examples. Feel free to look back at these examples, pause, whatever. It might be tricky, so I'm going to go through 3 examples, which is why this video might be a little longer than you want. 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. The very first step to factoring this is to take the outside numbers, multiply them together. So we have 3 times negative 5, which leaves me with negative 15. Now this is the number that we're trying to multiply to. We're trying to multiply to get negative 15. We're still trying to add to get that middle number of negative 2. So instead of using this outside number, we use both the coefficient number out front here and this outside number, we multiply them together. So let's think of negative 15. If we think of the factors, well, we got 1 and 15, 3 and 5. Well, 3 and 5 is going to make negative 2 somehow, but which one would be negative? Well, that would be negative 5, positive 3. I take these numbers and I split them up and I rewrite this like this. We have 3x squared. I'm going to do this just for clarification. I'm going to go plus 3x minus 5x minus 5. So notice all I did is I took this number, this negative 15. We figured out 2 numbers that multiply to get negative 15 and add to get negative 2. That was 3 and negative 5. I rewrite them in the problem in the middle and attach an x to it. Because think about this, 3x minus 5x is negative 2x. So it means the same thing, it just looks a little different. Here is your next step. Your next step is to group these items. When you get done grouping these items, we're going to try to take the greatest common factor of each binomial. So we have 3x squared plus 3x. I'm going to divide out the greatest common factor, which is 3x. And I'm left with, if I divide 3x out, I have x plus, if I take 3x out of that, I'm left with just 1. Can verify 3x times x, that's 3x squared, yep. 3x times 1, that's 3x, we're good. Now we need to do the same thing over here. We need to take the greatest common factor between negative 5x and negative 5. That would be negative 5. If I divide a negative 5 out, I'm left with a positive x. If I divide a negative 5 out of that, I'm left with plus 1. This is why we practice this type of greatest common factor. Notice how the x plus 1's line up. So I'm left with x plus 1 times 3x minus 5 as my final answer. Now I'm going to show you another one, and I'm going to move a little quicker in this one. So step 1, multiply your outside term two outside terms. 3 times 4 is 12. Now we're going to look for factors of 12 that are going to add to get negative 8. We want to add to get negative 8x. We've got 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Well, 2 plus 6 is 8. Well, we want to have it get to negative 8. We're going to multiply to get positive 12. Well, if both of those are negative, negative 2 and negative 6, negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12. Add them together, I get negative 8. So let's rewrite it as 3x squared. Now, if you're asking, does it matter which one goes first? It does not matter which term you put first. I can put minus 2x first, or I could put minus 6x first. It does not matter. When you factor by grouping, you will come out with the correct answer. So our next step is to group the terms together and then take out the greatest common factor. So 3x squared minus 2x. I can't divide 3 and 2 by anything alike. The only thing they have in common is they have an x. So I factor out the x, which leaves me with 3x minus 2 on the inside. Now when I go to factor negative 6x plus 4, I know that in the middle I want to get 3x minus 2. So let's think. Negative 6, positive 4. Well, I could factor out a negative 2, and I know it's negative because I want to be what's left inside to be positive 3x. So if I factor out a negative 2 from negative 6x, I'm left with 3x. And if I divide out from 4, if I divide a negative 2 from 4, that means I'm left with minus 2. And now they match. So my final answer is going to be 3x minus 2 and x minus 2. I'm going to show you one more example. If you don't need it, you can move on to the assignment. So our first step again, multiply 5 times 12. 60. Now I'm going to go off to the side here. Think of all the numbers I can multiply to 60. There's 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15. Ooh. 4 and 15 are numbers that match up to get 19. So multiply to get 60, add to get 19. I got 4 and 15. So I'm going to say 5x squared. Choose a different color. And again, it doesn't matter. I could write 15 first. Let's try doing that this time. We'll write 15x first. Then we'll write 4x. And then we'll write 12. Now we need to group these and factor out the greatest common factor. So 5x squared plus 15x, I factor that as 5x, which means I'm left with x plus 3. 4x plus 12, I can factor out a positive 4, and I'm left with x plus 3. That's our goal. We need x plus 3 and x plus 3 to match. So my final answer would be x plus 3 times 5x plus 4.